What happens when people release exotic animals into the wild? Your pet can destroy the world. When you think about adopting a pet, you probably imagine adopting a loyal and funny puppy or an adorable kitten. If you are less conventional, maybe you'll go to the pet store for a tarantula, a turtle, or maybe a snake. But could you imagine adopting a snake as long as a 2-story high building and can easily swallow you? Believe it or not, many people prefer to buy wild and exotic animals to keep as pets, and the worst happens when these pets are released or run away and multiply. These pets can get out of control and can cause chaos in the ecosystem. If you're interested in the world of wild animals, let's venture together to discover which pets you should never release into the wild. And for some extra fun, find our mascot Ned hiding throughout the video. Green iguanas. Green iguanas are very popular as pets for lovers of the exotic critters, especially since it seems that their care is very simple. Nothing to worry about here, right? Not really, since as the iguana grows, it will be more difficult to feed and care for it. Because of this, many people have decided to release them into nature. What they don't know is that releasing a species in a place other than its natural habitat can be devastating for many local species. In parts of the US, such as California, Florida, and Hawaii, the released iguanas have formed a colony, becoming so invasive that there are not many iguana predators. So think twice before releasing your pet into a habitat where it does not belong. Gray squirrel. I can't think of a more adorable animal than squirrels. These little friends can bring a smile to anyone who meets them. However, if you introduce one species of squirrel into the habitat of another, the consequences can be very bad. The red squirrel, native to England, only inhabits some Scottish forests and some natural preserves, with fewer than 14,000 red squirrels in existence today. This occurred because the English decided to bring the gray squirrel from the Americas and introduce it into the British ecosystem. The gray squirrel carries a disease that is deadly to the poor red squirrels. Plus, it is larger and more adept at finding food, which puts the red squirrel at a disadvantage. Turtles. Turtles are calm and harmless animals, which is why many people prefer them as pets. If you want to be friends with a turtle, you must remember that these live more than 100 years, so you are making a commitment for life. If you get bored with your friend and his slowness, don't try to free it in nature. This will not do anyone a favor. Turtles can become invasive species, especially the red-eared turtles, because they can spread diseases to many local species, and their temperament can scare off some native aquatic species. If you can no longer bear the slowness of this animal, try to give it to a person who will accept it as it is. The red lionfish. Fish are one of the most popular pets in the world. The problem is when people do not buy the typical small and domestic fish, but the large and exotic species, and then release them. The red lionfish is one of those exotic species that, if released into the wrong place, can cause a lot of damage. The lionfish is native to the Pacific Ocean, and many people end up releasing it into the Atlantic Ocean. In 1992, some fish were released in Florida, and since that time, the local population of small fish declined dramatically. And even worse, it has no natural predators. Its population continues to increase dramatically. Chameleons. Chameleons are the magicians of nature. Now you see them, and then you don't. Incredible, right? The chameleon's ability to camouflage, allowing them to take on the color of their surroundings, is a defensive tactic against predators so they can't find them. With this great defense, if the chameleons are released in places where they don't belong, especially those where there are not enough natural predators, the population will start to grow wildly, causing the chameleons to dominate the world. Not true, but they will cause a huge imbalance in the ecosystem. Cane toad. The cane toad is not even like a pet. It's an invasive species that was released in the wild to control another invasive species and turned out to cause an even worse problem. And there is something quite ironic in this matter. The toad, native to Latin America and measuring the same length as a human foot, was released in the early 20th century to control invasive species in some tropical islands to wipe out the sugarcane-eating beetle. Unfortunately, the toad greatly affected native species in the region, including predators such as lizards and even crocodiles. To this day, the population of cane toads continue to grow due to the lack of natural predators in that region. Ocean rats and mouse pests. Fear of rats and mice is something that many people have in common and is not irrational. These rodents are carriers of deadly diseases and infections for humans and for the local species that are invaded by them. Rats and mice came to many parts of the world by hiding in boats and traveling in the high seas until they reached their destination. These pets have exterminated many species of seabirds due to the diseases that rodents carry and because they are capable of devouring eggs and young of these birds. Rodents are estimated to exterminate 25,000 seabird chicks, which is devastating. Walking catfish. Just as the phrase "when pigs fly," we could say "when the fish walk," because it is equally impossible and somewhat a ridiculous statement. But what would you say if I told you that fish could walk? This walking catfish is native to the Southeast Asia and came to North America in the 1970s when it was released into the Everglades Park and Nature Preserve in Florida. Since that time, the population has grown and is moving north, becoming an invasive species. Furthermore, strange events have been seen in which people find these fish walking in streets without any concern. I cannot think of a stranger thing to see. Crabeater macaques. These macaques are considered one of the worst invasive species in the world, wiping out many bird breeding sites on tropical islands. The macaque managed to reach the islands thanks to humans, and they are responsible for causing or nearly causing the extinction of many endangered tropical birds. In addition to this, these apes carry a disease that can be fatal to humans. It is a type of herpes that causes the same symptoms as herpes in humans, but it can cause brain damage and potentially end the life of infected people. The African nail frog. If I give you the opportunity to guess why these frogs became very popular animals, what would you say? I assure you that none of your answers come close to the reality of the relevance of the amphibians in America. African fingernail frogs were used as effective pregnancy tests. If there was a suspicion that a woman was pregnant, the frog was injected with some of this woman's urine, and if the frog laid eggs, this meant that the woman was pregnant. Due to this, the frog was brought from South Africa to be used in medical laboratories. In addition to supply the demand, they were reproduced in captivity and released in some cases. They also became very popular pets. The growth of this frog in America has been somewhat exaggerated and worries many experts. Wild boars. Wild boars were brought to America not as pets, but as a source of food. After all, if we tame pigs to become food, how can we not tame another? These pigs have been in Florida since the 16th century and have not yet been domesticated, being wilder than ever. They are aggressive, wild, weighing even more than a kangaroo twice their size. It can carry up to 24 diseases that are transmittable to humans. Their population has grown dramatically and is now an invasive species that competes with native ones and makes a great damage to the ecosystem. Goldfish. Probably when you were a child, your parents gave you one of your first pets, a goldfish, one of the most common pets in the world. One day you got tired with your little fish and decided to flush it down the toilet. Or better yet, You asked an adult to take you to the nearby river or lake to free it. You may think you did the right thing, but when you release a goldfish in the wild, they tend to not stop eating, which allows them to grow much larger than nature allows. The more these fish grow, the more they will eat, wiping out all life in an aquatic ecosystem. The largest goldfish ever seen is a giant that weighs the same as a 3-year-old child. Snakes. The Burmese python is one of the largest invasive species in the world, measuring almost as much as an adult giraffe and weighing as much as a washing machine. Due to its large size, it is one of the deadliest invasive species because it threatens the lives of many local species in the Everglades Park in Florida, where they were introduced. Lizards and other species, usually predators and not prey, become the food of these gigantic snakes. These South Asian native snakes have become a priority to be removed from the ecosystems they have invaded. I hope you never come across one of these terrifying giants. You may have believed before that releasing wild animals that have become pets is the best option for them, but I hope you change your mind by seeing how harmful alien species can be when released into the wrong habitats, ending the lives of many local species that are vital to the ecosystems. If you know someone who has an exotic pet and wants to free it, tell them to better find someone who will take care of it or give it to an organization for the protection and conservation of animals. Your environment will thank you. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time! Remember to click the bell icon after you subscribe so you can get instant notifications of all our new videos.